Thank you, Annie. And yeah, beautiful. The music was absolutely, what a beautiful song. So we now have begun, and we're going through this book called Bamidbar, which is the book of Numbers in English, but in Hebrew it's Bamidbar, in the wilderness. So what do we always talk about? We talk about the Jews who wander in the wilderness. Like we wandered for 40 years, and the Jewish people are the wandering Jews, right? That's our history. We wander from place to place. So if we remember the reason why we ended up for 40 years in the desert, okay, it's not because Moses wouldn't ask for directions, right? That's what the joke is. But there's a real reason we didn't go straight to the land of Israel. And if you remember the story, it was a sin, right? The people of Israel, they sent 12 spies into the land to determine how we would conquer it. And of the 12 spies, 10 of them said, we're not going to conquer it. We can't do it. It's impossible. Let's go back to Egypt. Better to live in Egypt as slaves than to die trying to conquer this land that we can't do. They're too big, they're too powerful, they're too strong. We can't do it. 2 spies says we could, but they weren't listened to. And because of this lack of confidence in their future, they're destined to wander for a generation. That's what 40 years means. The entire generation will stay in the desert, and only the next generations, the ones born in the desert as free people, would enter. So you might think that this period of the wandering in the desert, since it was a result of a sin, the result of a rebellion against God, that this would be either a sad period or a period of mourning or a period of reflection on mistakes that were made. But what holiday commemorates the wandering in the desert? Sukkot. Is there anything sad about Sukkot? Sukkot's a big celebration. We build a sukkah, we have meals, we shake a lulav and esrog. The whole thing is a celebration. There's no mention whatsoever of the history that said we ended up in the desert because you made a mistake. So the rabbis chose to see the desert in a very different way. They chose to see it as a period of education. That God realized it wasn't that they sinned. It wasn't that they rebelled. They were scared. They were scared. They weren't prepared. So God realized, I'm trying to take them from being slaves for over 200 years, right? And then, a big show with the 10 plagues, splitting the Red Sea. Okay, now let's go conquer the land of Israel. I got way ahead of them. They're not ready. They're still children. They're a young nation. They're not prepared. You can't ask children to do this. So God says, you'll stay here, and we're going to learn. And I'll take care of you. The sukkah, God takes care of us. The manna in the desert. Miriam brings the water. The rabbis even say that the clothing didn't wear down in the desert. It remained the same the entire time. And they saw it as a beautiful, pristine period of the relationship with God and the people of Israel. So everything that happens in the desert is a learning moment. A parent, God, teaching his children, the people of Israel, about life. So one of those moments is mentioned in the Torah reading tomorrow. It says the following: at the Lord's bidding, they would encamp, and at the Lord's bidding, they would travel. They kept the charge of the Lord by the word of the Lord through Moses. So in other words, this wandering from place to place, how did they know when to start packing up and move to the next place? So according to the tradition, according to the Torah, God would tell them, okay, time to go. Get yourself ready, we got to move. And now, how do they know where to stop? They didn't know where to stop until God said, okay, it's time, stop here. This is your place. So it was by the directions of God that they moved from place to place. So what was God trying to teach them? Their journey was compared by an Israeli author I read just recently, that it was very much like when she went through basic training. In Israel, obviously, women, men, they go through basic training. They're drafted. They're in the army. It happened to be a she. She says, in basic training where they're trying to teach us to be soldiers, they never told us what's coming tomorrow. We didn't know where we're going tomorrow. We didn't know what our mission was tomorrow. But we had to get ready. We had to be ready to go, or maybe we wouldn't go. Maybe tomorrow we wouldn't be moving. We never knew. So we had to think, what's next? What's next? How to prepare. And this was a way to prepare us to be soldiers. Because you never knew exactly what next day would bring. Now, she explained when in the army, of course, they had missions. And they prepared very carefully for the mission. Studied what their role would be, what they needed to do, what they might encounter. It's life and death. They prepared. But she said, but you know what? As much as you're prepared, at the drop of a hat, everything could change, and you had to go here and not there. And you had to do this and not do that. But you couldn't let it rile you. You couldn't allow it to rile you. And she likened it to this desert. God's trying to teach the people of Israel a lesson. And the lesson is that you never know where life is going to take you. And you have to prepare for the unexpected. And you can't let the unexpected overtake you because it's going to happen. So the soldier had to be prepared for the mission, but also had to be prepared for the unexpected. And this was God was doing. You're never sure whether you're going to move or not move, travel or not travel, where you're headed or when you're going to stop. But you have to be prepared. And how, according to the Torah, were they prepared? Well, we're told that they would always, the first thing they would do when they stopped, when God said, okay, you're done for today, stop where you're going, they would always set up the Mishkan. What was the Mishkan? It was the tabernacle, right? They set up the tabernacle. Why? Because the tabernacle was the center of their community. The tabernacle had the ark, and what was in the ark? The Ten Commandments. And this is who they were. This is what their purpose, this is what their ethic was. This is what defined them as a nation. So they put up the Mishkan. It was a traveling Mishkan. Put it together. Put it in the center of the community every time they stopped. And it would stay there until it was time to go. As soon as it was time to go, they packed it up and brought it with them so that when they had to stop the next time, they could put it back in the center. So what this writer said was, that's the strength of the people of Israel. That's the strength of the Israeli army. They know they're going to face the unexpected, but they travel with their Mishkan. The Mishkan is a symbol of who we are, what our nation is, what we believe in, and what we stand for. And when you travel with that, you can go this way or that way. The mission can be expected or unexpected. Everything can change, but the one thing that never changes is your mission, and that is preserving the people of Israel, the land of Israel, and the state of Israel. So she saw this whole thing as wandering in the desert, and God preparing the people as how you prepare the people of Israel to protect the land of Israel. And we know that on that very first day of October 7th, it was all unexpected. No one was prepared, and they had to rally. But they had their training, and they knew exactly what they had to do, and most importantly, why they had to do it. And so in a very, very short time, they turned it around and pushed the enemy back into Gaza, and then, of course, now is pursuing them. So this preparation in the desert, this reminder to us that you just, in life, cannot know for sure what tomorrow will bring. You plan for it, and most of the times, what comes is what you expected. But when it isn't expected, don't forget who you are. Don't forget what you believe in. Don't forget what you stand for. Don't allow anybody to push you into the wrong direction. Don't allow anybody to cause you to lose your confidence. Throughout this entire difficult, nightmarish war, the one thing Israel and its army has not lost sight of is its mission. Its mission is the preservation of the Jewish state, the nation state of the Jewish people, Israel, and its citizens, They know that's their mission. They are focused on it. Each day, things happen that are unexpected, but they're ready for it. They're prepared for it because they know what they need to accomplish, and there is no other choice. And that is why they are succeeding. That is why they will win, because they know who they are and what they need to do. They're like those who wandered in the desert. They waited the next day for their orders. In the desert, the orders came from God. Today, the orders come from their colonel, their major, their general, who tells them what we need to do the next day. And when they're ready to go, they take with them their mishkan. They take with them their purpose, their beliefs, their understanding, and their clear sense of direction. They know what they need to accomplish. The mission may change from day to day, from hour to hour, but never changes is who they are, what they need to do, what they believe in. And when you have an army like that, when you have a nation like that, you eventually, of course, will come out victorious. So God prepared us. We weren't even in the land of Israel yet. We're in the desert. And God was already teaching us the most important lessons. Life has a lot of unexpected happenings in it. You never know what tomorrow will bring. But if you have in the center who you are, what you believe in, what you stand for, and what you know your destiny is, then you will be able to handle the unexpected, rise to the occasion, and come out victorious. And it's true not only for a nation, it's true for our lives. We all know that the unexpected happened. It happens. We had that terrible, unexpected loss of Marshall Baltic, and say a few words about him later. A shock, a total shock to our system, right? We've never been, the synagogue has no memory without him being there in the center helping to lead us. But it was unexpected. At the same time, we know exactly what we need to do. There's no doubt. We're not going to miss a step. We're going to miss him. But we know exactly what our purpose is. We know how to do it. And we know what we need to do. Because he taught us so well. So it's true about a nation, it's true about a synagogue, it's true about our families. Things happen to our families that are totally unexpected. But if we understand what the core of the family is, who we are as a family, what we need to do, the family will recover. It will regroup, and it will go forward the next day on its mission. So that's what God wanted to teach us thousands of years ago in the desert. How to be a nation, how to focus on who we are, and what we believe in. And to know that in the end, we can succeed with God's help. Shabbat Shalom.